Holly, and I am back with another author recommendation video. Now, I thought I had already done an author recommendation video on this author because I love her and I have loved her for a few years now, but I searched my YouTube channel and I've never done this video and I feel like a horrible fan. So today I want to talk to you about Sarina Bowen. So Sarina Bowen primarily writes new adult and contemporary romance. A lot of her stories focus on hockey, not all of them, but a lot of them. And she primarily writes male-female romances, but she does have a few male-male romances. And I believe she is working on a female-female project. I think it's a paranormal project, but I feel like I heard about that a few years ago and heard nothing since, so I do not know the status of it. But I believe she was working on that with like Elle Kennedy or something. And a lot of her books tend to take place in the New England area, so like Vermont and Connecticut and New Hampshire. I don't know if anything actually takes place in New Hampshire, but like that area of the country. Not New York, because as a New Yorker, let me tell you, New York is not New England. Nothing wrong if a book takes place in New York. I just want you all to know they're not the same thing. They're not the same thing. It's really annoying when people say we're part of New England. So a lot of her books, especially the new adult books, tend to deal with some more serious issues and have a little darker tone to them. So they deal with things like injuries, overcoming like physical injuries, and like pretty debilitating injuries, abuse, assault, assault claims, slut shaming, those kinds of things. As well as like the Ivy Year series has a male-male romance in it. It's called The Understatement of the Year. I'll insert the cover right here. And this is a really beautiful story, but it is so heartbreaking. So heartbreaking. Whatever. It's beautiful, but it's really hard to read for me. Really hard. I have reread it, but it's really hard. Her Brooklyn Bruisers series, which is like the series she's kind of writing right now mainly, is a little more light-hearted. It does definitely have some seriousness. Like there is still references to assault, like in the first book, like rape, and there's kind of like a suspense element in book number 2, but they're definitely lighter than like the Ivy Years or even the True North series. The North series tends to be a little more serious in tone, which I feel like you can just get from the covers. Like they're all kind of this style, like they're very like dark with like one person on them, and or actually Speakeasy has 2 people on it, you know. But these are definitely a little darker. Like one of these stories deals with somebody who was in trouble a lot as a kid. I think he did go to prison. Yes, he's an ex-con, and he was like a drug addict. There's somebody who got out of like a cult, that kind of stuff. It's very fun and exciting. So some of my favorites, by the way, are The 15th Minute, which I do not own, unfortunately. Paperbacks are just really hard to get from Sarina Bowen right now. But The 15th Minute is the 5th book in the Ivy Year series, and I love this whole series. The whole series is amazing, don't get me wrong, but The 15th Minute is my personal favorite. And this one does have a sexual assault storyline, but it is approached differently than other stories, and I just love both of the characters in this one. The heroine is a actress who's really into like computers and stuff, and the hero is a DJ, and he DJs like the hockey games, which I think is really cool, and his brother is one of the hockey players and actually is the star of the first Brooklyn Bruisers series. For the True North series, Steadfast, the 2nd book, is definitely my favorite. This is the one that features an ex-con, and it's that like 2 people shouldn't be together because they come from like different worlds kind of a story, and I really like that. And yeah, I really like this series. She's writing this series as well too. Another book in this series came out relatively recently called Fireworks. And this series, all of these series kind of interact with each other. So like in this series, you do have like a Brooklyn Bruiser or hockey players show up. Like I said, the 15th Minute, the hero, his brother, is the hero in the first Brooklyn Bruiser series. So these all take place in the same world and kind of coexist with each other, and I am just a huge fan of that when authors write that kind of story. I just love the fact that the world feels more real and as if it actually exists. And then I really like Brooklyn Air, which is the fourth book in the Brooklyn Bruiser series. This is the book, if you're reading the series, that you're like waiting for and waiting for and waiting for. It follows the owner of the Brooklyn Bruisers hockey team, who is like a young tech guy who buys a hockey team and is like new to the world, like that's new and it's a challenge and everything, and he has this kind of like subtle sexual tension between him and his assistant Becca, and it's really fun and cute and I love it. And I love a slightly different take on a hockey story because I am a sucker for a hockey story, but this doesn't feature a hockey player, it features the owner of a hockey team. So I love Sarina Bowen's writing. I find it fast, engaging, and just very easy to connect to, and it always makes me emotional. Like, I have read the first Ivy Years book, The Year We Hid Away, or no, The Year We Fell Down. The Year We Hid Away is the second book. I have read this book so many times and it still gets me emotional. Like, I still cry and I still like care about these characters so much, and that has to be the writing. I think she's also really good at building a world, and I think I've talked about this before, how I think world building isn't talked about nearly enough in contemporary stories, because people are just like, well, it's just our world, so you don't have to build it. But that's not true. You still need to make this world feel real. Like, when I'm reading the Ivy Years series, I feel like I'm at Harkness College. Now, part of that is that Harkness reminds me a lot of my alma mater. It's just bigger. But I can picture everything about this university. When I'm reading the Brooklyn Bruiser series, I can picture like their training compound and the offices and the part of Brooklyn that they live in. I've never been to Brooklyn. I don't know anything about it, but I can picture their neighborhood and their lives. With the True North series, I can picture what life looks like on like their farm and like the Shipley farm, and what like it smells like, and the life in Vermont, and this just aura that it has with it. And she does a really good job of building that kind of stuff, and like I said, it is not talked about nearly enough in contemporary stories. If you have happened to never So if you've never read a Sarina Bowen book and you want to know if they would be up your alley or not, I would say if you have read like Elle Kennedy, like her Off-Campus series or her Briar U series, you will probably like Sarina Bowen. In fact, they've written together before. So they have written Him and Us. I have not read Us yet. I know, I'm a horrible person. I need to read it. But Him and Us is a male-male hockey romance, as well as the understatement of the year, but it is written by Sarina Bowen and Elle Kennedy together as a duo. Or if you like Kristen Callahan, who like her, I can't remember what it's called, but I will put the title of the series, but it's like the Friend Zone series and stuff. Her books are about football, but I feel like they kind of have a similar style to them, even though it's a different sport or whatever. And if you were looking someplace to start, I personally think that the Ivy Years is the best place to start, and start with book number 1, The Year We Fell Down. But if you're a little worried about any of the darker elements, this one is probably like a safer bet, because there's no like rape or assault or anything in this one. This is about 2 people who are injured. They were both hockey players, and she had a serious accident and she's now in a wheelchair, and he broke his leg and is just on crutches for a few months, but it mainly deals with those kinds of issues. But if you're a little worried about that, then starting with the Brooklyn Bruiser series, which the first one is Rookie Move, I think would probably be a little safer of a bet for you. Now, Rookie Move does have a rape storyline in it, but so I guess proceed with caution, but I think that these books are a little lighter in tone. Or you can check out the books that she has written with some other authors, like Man Card, Man Hands. I think Man Hands is the first one, which I have read as an ebook, and I liked it. I thought it was funny. It's definitely super light, but I don't think that it is good as these other books. So that's it. I hope I was decently okay at explaining my love for Sarina Bowen. You guys, I love her. I'm like obsessed with her and Elle Kennedy. I think they are both amazing like authors. Them and Shannon Stacy, like, I just love them all. But if you have read Sarina Bowen, let me know what you think of her down below. Even if you don't like her, that's fine. I'm not like gonna hate you or anything. And feel free to share your opinion, because everybody has different tastes and different preferences. And if you have any recommendations for authors or books that are similar to her, if you like her, leave those down below as well for other people and for me. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.